Hello, my name is Joshua Kalasa. I am the president of Gwinnett Mercy's Student Athletic Advisory Committee. It is day 3 of the NCAA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Week, and today is one step forward. I'm joined by Tatiana Diaz.
So my name is Tatiana Diaz. I use ella, she, and her pronouns, ella in Spanish, and I'm the Assistant Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Today we're going to be interviewing Tatiana, and we are going to be asking questions about DEI involvement on campus and how student athletes and students in general can become more involved around campus. The first question I'm going to be asking is, what can students and staff do to advance the creation of inclusive spaces?
Well, I think one of the key aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion particularly, is it takes all of us. We know that we have diversity on campus, whether that be about race or ethnicity or the number of first-generation students that we have on campus or LGBT, you name it. You know, they're on campus, they're part of our community, but the inclusion piece becomes so important because it takes absolutely every one of us, right? Like, how can we make sure that we're engaging each other, that we're learning about each other, that we are having, conversations that go beyond the, hey, how are you, right? That we get to know each other and a little bit about where we come from and our own experiences.
What are some specific actions or initiatives currently being taken at Gwinnett Mercy University that promote inclusion and belonging within the community and athletics?
We do things that are simple, right? So, like we make sure to acknowledge heritage months. Right now is LGBT history. So we make sure to have a number of events on campus and also opportunities for students, staff, and faculty to also get to know more about that community. And we do that pretty much every month. We're trying to highlight a different community on campus. That's an easy one. But you've been a part of this, which is we also have a student leadership opportunity called the Weaving Equity into Leadership Opportunity. And it is a very intentional certificate, a leadership certificate for students to kind of dig a little deeper, right? Like to go and see, like, what can you learn about yourself and how can you bring what you learn into your different roles on campus, whether that be a student, that be an athlete, that be a leader. Like, this is an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about that. And I think you were a great example of taking the time and actually enjoying and participating fully in that experience.
Yeah, that program was definitely very helpful in educating myself, especially just looking inwards and kind of learning, like you said, more about yourself, to learn more about the world, I guess, and the cultures and communities that are out there and how important the whole initiative kind of is. So it was very, very eye-opening.
You should all do it.
Everyone
awesome.
should do it.
Yes.
How do you define one step forward when it comes to creating inclusive spaces?
I think sometimes when we think about inclusion or feeling that sense of belonging, it feels so big that it feels sometimes like I don't know where to start. And I love the idea of one step forward, because sometimes it's just as simple as just doing one little thing, right? In checking in with a teammate that you know is having a hard time, within checking in with your roommate or your classmate or even your professor, right? Like, we are all people, and life can be hard sometimes, and having the opportunity to say, I'm gonna take one step forward. I'm gonna do one event. I'm going to read one book. I'm gonna click on that email about, that Heritage Month or that culture that I think I wanna know more about, but I just don't have the time. Taking that one step can be the start.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that when you look at it on a grand view, it's very, very overwhelming.
Leave that to me.
Very overwhelming.
I try to take care of that one, but I think the one step, if we can encourage people to just do like the one big step or one little step, we're in the right path.
Absolutely. I think that one step forward really means anyone can do it.
Yeah.
A lot of people might think that, I'm just a student, like it's not my place to really kind of worry about that stuff. But if everyone continues to take one step forward, we're all at the same point.
Well, and we're a mercy community, right? Like these are our values. And in order for us to create that community that we all want, right? That we all want to engage in, that we all want everybody cheering us on, in games or just, being present during class and all of those things, it takes all of us.
Absolutely.
And that's the reality of this idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't end or start with my office. It really ends and starts with you.
Promoting inclusion is an ongoing process. How should we plan to sustain momentum and keep the conversation about diversity and inclusion alive beyond just this week?
Well, I think it, as I was saying before, I think it does start with every one of you. I think sometimes when we look at our athletes or just our students, they think, well, it's about another person, right? That doesn't include me. And that's not true. Like, diversity is, acknowledging, celebrating, truly learning from every single one of the students that are present on campus. And that includes every single one of our athletes. It includes every single one of our students. And so if we are open to having some conversations about who we are, I know I love the day one theme of just getting to know some of who are our athletes. We need more of that. And so how can we make sure that we're telling our stories, right? We're using our voice. You're all athletes on campus. How can you make sure that that athlete identity is not the only one that we know you as? That we get to know a little bit more about all of you. We want to. So if you are willing to share a little bit of yourselves, I can assure you that more people want to listen.
Absolutely. Finding a platform, especially on a campus this size where everyone knows each other, it's surprisingly easy.
Right?
Very easy.
Yeah.
I'll walk through any part of campus, I'll see so many people that I know of just anyone. And if you need to speak out about something, if you see something or you feel like something should be included, anything, you already have such a big platform because you just know so many people.
Exactly.
Kind of building on that, how do you think the university as an institution can better support the athletics department in fostering a culture of belonging?
Well, I think it's same thing. It kind of goes both ways, right? As much as we're saying we would love to have more of the athletes join some of the broader university events, some of the broader diversity, equity, and inclusion events, we should all be at your games as well, right? We want to support you. You are out there talking and living this Mercy experience with other collegial athletes in other campuses. So don't hesitate. Go to a couple of games and support our athletes.
SAC has definitely had a big focus on getting more people to go to games to kind of further build this own school community we have. Yesterday, myself and a lot of my teammates went to Griffins Go Pink, it was a great time. There was a doubleheader, and just having a student section there made the game so much more fun. The games were already fun, the athletes were doing a great job. But I think that having more opportunities like that to kind of get the student body together, especially when it's such a great cause as breast cancer awareness, I think that is a great opportunity.
Supporting each other, right? That's inclusion.
People support people.
Yeah.
What role do you believe student athletes, coaches, and administrators play in amplifying diverse voices?
Well, I think we were talking about this earlier, right? I think everybody's busy, everybody's tired, and I think sometimes it can be hard for students to prioritize, having so many options and also having so many things on your plate. What should I do? Where should I start? And I think the university and the coaches, we can help you, right? Let's identify where some of your skills or some of your passions are, and let's identify how can we better guide you so that you're using your time in a way that, supports you and your development as an athlete. That's a key way that we can support each other. But I think also is creating more spaces like this. What are some opportunities that we can have to engage in conversations when things happen? And we don't have to wait till nothing bad has to happen for individuals to have conversations. But I think that we are all living in a world that is rapidly changing. And sometimes having those safe spaces, whether that be with teams, with your coaches, with staff, it's important because we all need to be able to process some of the many things that are happening in our world today. And what better than with people that we already have a community with. So if we can continue to build that in those spaces without having to go to someplace else or do a different event, then we're already winning and we're, not adding more to everybody's plate.
Yeah, I think that question really connects to one of the previous questions, which is how do you keep this kind of momentum going just beyond the 1 week? Because obviously this deserves more than just 1 week. But I think that I agree with you with your points. I think that just creating spaces in our community where we can have these kind of conversations, like you said, nothing bad needs to happen.
No.
We could just have these conversations, and I think that's very important.
And like you were saying, the Go Pink event, right? So much of our community potentially has been, experience a loved one that has been affected by breast cancer. We don't have to wait until we know somebody. We can just go support. Same thing, if we get to know a little bit more about our teammates, about their communities, about their families, about what they're going through, you never know what other issue might come up that says, you know what, as a community of mercy, as an athletic community, we should care about this.
Absolutely. That was all of our questions, so I'd like to thank you for your time. It was great having this conversation with you.
Thank you for the invite. And I know people were asking, where is my office located? So I'm in Assumption Hall, so the big house on campus. But if you come through the side door that is right next to the library, that side door that kind of sometimes there's a car parked right in front of it, that's where my office is. Come there and I'm happy to meet with anybody. Again, doesn't have to be bad. Hopefully it's actually a really great conversation. So come by anytime.
I would like to thank everyone for joining us on this journey throughout this week. I hope you all learned something, and I would like to thank everyone involved with anything we did this week. It's very much appreciated. I think that this cause is something that should have a lot of attention to it.